Hello and welcome to Digital Twin Podcast. Today we will talk about four industrial revolutions. Stay tuned. Digital Twin Podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachovich, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes. Adrian, the question is, why the fourth revolution?
We will talk about, I would say, the history today. So we can all agree, I think, that we already had at least three industrial revolutions, and probably four as well. Now there's a debate. Is the current situation with artificial intelligence and other systems? Is it like a fifth one? But we will talk about it in the next episode. But for me, yeah. Currently we have we had four.
Yeah. So the idea is to the idea for this episode to be like a beginner episode, right? Yep. So just to get aligned with all the information and. Like the fourth revolution, seems like a buzzword, right? Because everybody knows that this happened, and I guess we are in this fourth evolution right now. But the idea would be to start from scratch, from the beginning, and just explain how this all happened and why are we talking about 4.0. Now, not 3.5, not 3, not 5, but why 4?
Yeah, and also, because after every of those industrial revolutions, which they were in the past, I think we have a common points, and this is also what we should conclude in the end, I hope, for this episode.
Sure. So let's just go for the first one.
Okay, so the first one, let's say what was common for all of them. It's that industrial revolution always, on the beginning, there's a lot of different technologies, a lot of different, you can say, inventions, which you can combine together. And after a while, we can say, okay, that was the time when the world changed, because of the boost which came from the industry. So the first one was in 18th century, and we can say there was a lot of different things going on in the world, but the most important one, which boosted up the entire world and the entire industry, not only the production industry, was the steam engine. Right, it was invented in United Kingdom, which was at the time the biggest country in the world, if you conclude GDP, and gave the biggest impact in the world. Pound was the first currency, and so on. And the steam engine changed the way people travel. For example, we could travel by train because of that. We could start traveling by ships because we traveled by ships before, but we gained the scale, right? And costs of traveling, because it was faster and the cost was lower. It was normal people could start to traveling much more everywhere.
Sure. So yeah, it became more available to people, right? That they can travel because they don't have to buy their own horse to travel. They can just join other people and use a train, for example. So I think that's enough to say about the first one, right? About the first revolution, and again, why do we call them industrial revolutions, right? Maybe this is just like economical revolution. Why do we say this is industrial revolution?
Because, as I said, it was there was always some inventions, like, for example, the steam engine, which boosts other areas of our lives. So, of course, it's also related with social life, with economical life. Now we are talking about fourth industrial revolution. All of us have smartphones. All of us use, for example, ChatGPT and different artificial intelligence devices. But on the beginning, those devices or those inventions came from science, and then it was tested with industry because there was money, right? And there was a lot of motivation to make a change.
Yeah. Okay. I can describe the second industrial revolution in 2 sentences.
Okay. Okay.
And I wonder
Try
how
it.
many sentences will you use for that?
Okay.
So, for me, the second industrial revolution enabled mass production, which like never happened before, and then secondly, it enabled people to communicate better. So I believe this combination was crucial for for civilization. So people were able to communicate better and faster. That probably means the information, they can absorb the information, analyze, draw conclusions much faster, and then they are able to mass product elements, things that they were not able to do before. And again, that would make those elements cheaper because it was mass production, so they didn't have to do it one by one. So for me, communication and mass production. What about you?
It was more than 2 sentences.
Yeah, sure, but
mass production was gained also in the first industrial revolution, mainly in clothing, for example. But if you ask me, because in second industrial revolution there was more technologies where we can debate what was the most important one, right? Maybe I would say the electricity. For me, it is electricity, because electricity, if you think about it, is the foundation of communication. For example, if you use telegraph, which was you can say the beginning of the communication between different countries and different cities, it needed electricity, right? If you think about, for example, Henry Ford and his first mass production of Ford Model T, which also is the effect of the second industrial revolution, it also used electricity. So I would say the most important one in the second industrial revolution was electricity, because it boosted the other ones.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So I have to agree with you, unfortunately.
Yeah, but there's more, because electricity also, if you think about transportation now, right? Because in the first one we talk about transportation was important, and the second one transportation was in a main center of second industrial revolution as well. I said about Ford T, which was invented also during the 19th and the 20th and the beginning of the 20th century. Engine in Germany was invented by Daimler, and Karl Benz invented the car in Germany. So we had two fractions, German fraction and US fraction, which started the entire industry for automobiles. And also you have in transportation, for example, Siemens invented first for electrical buses in Berlin, right? Trams, right?
And that was like during the second industrial revolution?
Yeah, it was during the second industrial revolution.
Okay.
It was 1818 something. Yeah.
Okay. But then they were not like common, right? They were not in common use for some time, and then they became more popular, right? Because they were invented, but it was not something that was popular at the time, right?
It started to being popular in big cities, of course, because in train you have the scale, you can travel, if you're using a steam engine, you don't need anything else between the train and something which the train travels on. But with trams, you need electrical tractions, so it was much more difficult, but it was more environmental friendly.
Sure. Yeah, people probably didn't care about the environment at the time, but you're right. So the third industrial revolution, I will summarize it in 2 sentences.
Okay, I'll count this time.
And I would call this the first digital revolution. Do you agree?
Okay, I'll wait for the second sentence.
So I would say the personal computer and the internet was hopefully the breakthrough. I mean, I hope you'll agree with this, because that enabled global communication and sharing of information. So I would call it a digital revolution, the first digital revolution, and for me, the most progress was achieved through personal computers and then internet access, because this enabled, that the fact that the communication became, super easy and super fast, or easier and fast.
Okay. Yeah, we can debate over here as well, because if you think about internet, of course it was invented during maybe the third industrial revolution. The first computer was like 40s or something like that. But the third industrial revolutions is, you can say, 1960s, 1970s. So of course computer digitalization in general, it was an invention of the third industrial revolution, as well as, for example, robotics, as well as programming logical controllers, which also scale up the industry. But what was in the foundation? You can say that in the foundation there's microcontrollers, right? Computer needed microcontrollers, or something what was a microcontroller at the time, as same as PLC, as same as robotics. So it was something what boosted the other inventions as well. As I would say, I compare microcontrollers to electricity in the second industrial revolution.
Okay, so the computer is a result of inventing these microcontrollers, right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of agree that the computer is the result of inventing controllers. So yeah. Okay, what about the internet?
Yep.
Not so much?
Because if you think about you ask me a good question about these trumps, right? This is like something which was common at the time or not. The same as internet, right? We can ask ourselves when we had access to the internet, right? Of course, it was invented a long time ago, and probably it was used in different purposes, because it was mostly a government network to send some files.
Or for the military purposes,
for military purposes on the foundation. And it scaled up after a long time, and during the fourth industrial revolution, or maybe fifth one, if it's already here, we can say that internet is still in the foundation, same as electricity as well. But if we classified internet to the third or fourth, I would say I would debate about that.
So you would wait with you would wait to say that the fourth revolution was thanks to the internet, right, or not?
I would say that all of if you think about the fourth industrial revolution, and
how about we finish the third one and move to the fourth one, because it seems most relevant, most relevant for us at the time.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about the fourth industrial revolution.
Okay, so if you really think about fourth industrial revolution, you have as well different technologies. As for example, you have IoT, right? Internet of Things. You have blockchain. You have artificial intelligence. You have big data. So you have different technologies. But ask yourself, what is in the foundation of those technologies? What's the most important thing which makes all of them fit together? It is internet, right? You need internet or intranet. You need a network. Right? To use artificial intelligence, you need a lot of data. how you can connect the data with the artificial intelligence. You need to have network, right? To gather the data and have like tremendous amounts of data, which is called big data. You also need internet, right? IoT is connected to something. Sensors are connected to something. If you want to have remote access to your printer, which is in your home, you need internet to have this access to the IoT device. So internet is in the foundation of the fourth industrial revolution, even though it's not an invention of the fourth industrial revolution. Do you agree or you disagree?
It's difficult to disagree because the Internet of Things, was the breakthrough. And how do you, collect all the information? How do you analyze all the information if there's no network? What do? You write this down and put it into the MES system. I mean, it's impossible. This could never happen if we were not able, to collect it, transfer that data, and then draw conclusions based on the data. So maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about all of those industrial revolution is that since the invention of, for example, steam engine, global use of steam engine, because steam engine was invented like way before the first industrial revolution. I think it was the beginning of 18th century, and we classified the industrial revolution as the beginning of the 19th century. So, since invention till using it was like tens of years, right? And now, since, for example, invention of IoT devices, like a real use of IoT devices, till like current time, when we see it everywhere, it passed a lot of less time, right?
Sure. Also, for me, this Industry 4.0 kind of allowed us to blur the line between physical world and then digital world, because it was kind of obvious that there were devices and there was maybe some kind of software running in the background, but now it all became one, and then the synergy effect of that process transferred to pretty much all sectors of our life. The society has tremendous benefits out of that, and that's why I always wonder whenever we say it's a digital or industrial revolution. I always think that it is, but then you and me and all the other people are benefiting from that. So I always wonder why this is called industrial revolution versus just society evolved, because it starts with technology that is used for manufacturing and then it's transferred to people. That's how we understand it.
If you think about it, all of those inventions, you can say it started from science, right? Someone invented something, tested it, and then it's weird because, for example, first electric car, right? People think some people think that Tesla invented electric cars, right? But the truth is that electric cars was invented in 19th century in France. The first test was in France, and actually since the beginning of 19th century, they already could travel a car with 105 kilometers per hour, which was like tremendous for this time, right? So but since now we didn't use electric cars, or since like 10 years ago, for a mass scale, right? The question why is maybe for a different debate, but to answering your question, it is like that. Artificial intelligence, for example, now we are using it in every day, right? Since like maybe 1 year or half of a year, it's everywhere. You see it every single day. But in in the big, it is.
But it was there before, right?
Yeah, it was there before,
the point, right?
way before, right? And it was used for industrial companies as well, way before.
Sure. So it seems that all the industrial revolutions, they have some common features.
Yeah,
they have something in common, and everyone every single one was triggered by some breakthrough, right? In terms of technology. So what, in your opinion, what are the main elements that are similar for all industrial revolutions so far?
Yeah. So first of all, it will be the way people lived changed like 180% degree, right? For example, as I said, with the steam engine, the way people travel, the way people can access, for example, clothing or other things, or massive scale agriculture, right? So, in general, because of industrial revolutions and because of technological development, we are having every year there's a technological deflation. So we have every single year, and theoretically we can buy the same things which could be produced cheaper, right? In real terms, not in currency terms, but in real value terms. But because of different economical, I would say, things, we have inflation and so on, and we don't necessarily feel it that way, right? But the first one, answering your question, the first thing is the entire life of people and the access to the things which are can be used in daily lives are much easier.
Sure. There's one interesting thing that I'd like to talk to you about, and it's income inequality. In terms of, do you think that just because we were going through those different revolutions and some technology became available, the people that were able to utilize it, the people that were close to it, they were able to scale their income like 100%, 200%, 300%, while the people that didn't have access to that technology, they kind of stayed at the same level. Would you agree?
I would say that every time if you are near the technological boost, there's always a place for you to benefit from it, right?
And sure. And how is that? Because I do have another question, because what I said is related to manufacturing, and the idea of using technology, the steam engine or whatever, electricity, to produce at a mass scale, and then that gives like almost an unfair advantage, versus the people that don't have that access, right? So the people that do have the access to technology, they can work more efficient, they can basically make more money, they can reinvest the money, and they have this advantage that in different part. Let's say that the steam engine was invented in the UK. Let's say there's some other countries that didn't have access to it, so the UK would 10x their growth versus the countries that didn't really have the access at the early stage to the technology. Just a a question that is a little beyond Industry 4.0, but it's more like connected to like economy and income inequality.
I think maybe in the first industrial revolution, actually it make a change, right? Because the communication between countries, it was not in real time as it is right now. But I think currently it's really easy if someone invents something. A while you see the same thing in the different countries.
Now it's easy because the communication is flawless, right?
Yeah.
But we've been talking about is that
but if you think about as a consumer, in the end, you want something which is affordable and with a good quality, let's say, right? So in every consumer in the world thinks in a similar way. So countries and manufacturers, business in general, thinks in categories what we can do to fit in those needs, right? And it boosts the other countries to develop as well.
Yeah, that was kind of my point. That there was some benefits for some that were close to this technology. Let's dive into the benefits and the threats of revolution. So let's just talk about the benefits, and then there are some super obvious challenges of the industry 4.0.
Yeah.
I would say. So let's start with the good part, meaning the benefits.
Okay. So some of them we already talked about, right? Like, for example, the deflation and the easier access to everything which is manufactured. It is because technology developed. It is because manufacturing companies can produce more in one single minute, and it because they are trying to do everything they can to reduce the costs, to sell more and to be more, to win in this race. And so I'd say this is the first benefit for a consumer.
Yeah, it seems that every single revolution, industrial revolution, allows us to produce cheaper, faster, and allows us to distribute that goods, to every single country in the world, pretty much. So every single revolution is. I see one downside of it. We don't fix things anymore. Like we don't fix broken computer. Maybe we do, but all the other like a washer or dryer or something.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
We don't fix it anymore because manufacturing of that devices became so cheap that it doesn't make any sense, for us to fix it, right?
Yeah, it's the same with food, right? We are saying, okay, food is expensive, but if you think about, for example, ancient times, all of the money which people had was spent to buy food, right? Now food is like equivalent of a few percent of which is in our income, right? And we have actual problems with obesity and so on. And what you said about that, we can buy a dishwasher cheaper and so on. Yeah, it's also a problem because if we are fixing things, it means that more or less that we're recycling, right? If we buy more things and the other one goes to garbage, it means we produce more footprint, right? So of course this is something which you cannot say it's beneficial.
No, it's cheaper, but overall the waste is huge. So but let's let's
but also the quality is bigger. For example, I have a refrigerator, I have a dishwasher, and I have since I don't know, maybe 8 years. Nothing happens.
All good.
Yeah, all good. So the quality also.
What brand are you working with?
I'll tell you after
kidding,
the recording.
Just kidding. Okay, so the challenges of challenges and threats of the industry 4.0, because the benefits, we kind of spoke about the benefits, but also the downside of making everything cheaper. But what about the challenges and threats of 4.0? The only one that I can think of, I mean, there is 100 probably, but the one that comes to my mind is if we have those networks that transfer huge amount of data, what about the security of that data? What about you?
Okay, yeah, security is an issue, of course. Internet, it's a tremendous...
Security, privacy, this is one thing for me.
Yeah. Security, privacy, it's a big issue. But I would say that something which every person have in his mind, I think, when he thinks about industrial revolution in his era, it's the same. I mean, people are asking themselves the question: are we useful anymore? Right? If people invented like a steam engine at a time, a lot of people do the same things which were done. For example, production of clothing and so on. But it was all made manually, right? Steam engine accelerates something. and the entire mechanization, you'd say, accelerates everything. And the same situation we have right now, right? If we think about, for example, artificial intelligence, a lot of us are live in fear because we think, okay, maybe we are not, useful anymore. Maybe we will lose our jobs. And I want to say one thing about that. If you think about, for example, the beginning of the 20th century, and you compare it to the current situation, for example, in any country you want, maybe not any country you want, but you can say in developed countries, probably you will conclude that there's twice more people living in this country, or at least more than it was in the past. This is the first conclusion. And the second conclusion is that unemployment rate is lower. So how is it possible that we have so many inventions, so many industrial revolutions after us, and still those most important parameters relating to, actual workforce are so low?
So that would mean that industrial revolutions, they create more jobs than they take away from us, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Because it boosts also not only the innovators and manufacturers to create more and to adopt what is in the market, but also motivates every one of us to develop ourselves to use the technology more.
Sure. How do you feel about takeaways today? Should we do them, or?
I think it's a good thing. I'm interested about your takeaway.
Yeah, I'm interested about mine as well.
Okay, so many.
Because there was too many, and also like it's very difficult to kind of pack all the information within 25-30 minutes, and that this is what we usually do for every single episode. So there's a lot of things that we don't really have time to talk about, but they are also relevant. So I would say that all the revolutions, they have one thing in common. I mean, they have a lot of things in common, but the one that we didn't speak about enough is the job displacement, because there are some jobs that are created, and that even now that we are maybe worried about the AI. I mean, we should be worried about the AI, but I'm thinking that again, more jobs will be created, through this advancement of technology. And again, people are afraid they will lose jobs, but I bet the unemployment will decrease even more with every single industrial revolution, because this was the case for now. So we are still worried, but every time industrial revolution happens, there is less and less people willing to work, actually. So I don't know if that's really a threat. What about you?
I think I would say that we should learn from history, and we should invest in education, and every change in our life, no matter if it's like, using smartphone or artificial intelligence, or, cooperate with advanced robotics, we should, stop and think about not in terms of, that this is scary, because it is, but we should think in terms like how we can actually benefit from it, And if you switch the way you think, how you as a person, as a company, can benefit from those things, it makes accelerates the world, you yourself, and then your environment and the entire world.
Sure, that was a good discussion. And then a little spoiler for the next episode, we will still talk about 4.0 or maybe 5.0. Stay tuned, and see you in a week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.